minutes. Yeah, we only have 40 minutes, right? Hello?
Hello?
We only have 40 minutes, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was then it means we need to start. We need to start right now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How do I share my how do I do
Your
that?
screen.
No, yeah, my screen. Let me see. I'm not the one direct. I'm not the one in charge of this session, right? You are the moderator, right?
Yes.
Okay, you no problem. I mean, we don't need a slides really. Like we kind of do actually. It would be great if we did have the slides. Let me send it to you, Mandeeya, and then you can post. You can like share it on the. So you can like share this your screen. I think it
Okay.
will be too fast,
Can you
especially when.
try and see if you can share it? I just enabled that.
Okay, sure. Wait, let me see. I hate that I'm sounding like an old man. I don't know those of you who have been using because I tend to use Teams, so I'm not sure how to go around this one. Where do we go?
Okay. Have you seen the green arrow that shows
Yeah.
share
Oh,
screen?
oh my God. Yeah, it literally
Yeah.
was it. Okay, it's great. Okay, guys, salam alaikum. By way
Alaikum
of
salam.
wait, so by way of introduction, my name is Shafic Osman. I am a master's student here in the UK at the University of Warwick, and I want to think I'm a writer. I do help people from time to time with some of their writing needs. I've helped a number of people edit their SOPs. And last year I didn't do it with the sisters, but the year before I did. Last year I was busy with schoolwork. Yes. So let's just quickly start. So SOP, some schools call it statements of purpose, some schools call it personal statements, some schools call it motivation letter. But generally, the idea is for you as the student, the applicant, to communicate to the school why you are applying and why they should admit you. The SOP as well as your CV is an opportunity for you to stand out beyond your grades. So most schools would have their minimum admission requirements, maybe a 3.0, 3.5, 3.47, first class, second class, upper, all of that. The SOP is an opportunity for you to tell the schools that beyond my grades or in addition to my grades. So if you have a stellar record, the SOP says, okay, yeah, I'm that guy, admit me. And if you don't have that, the SOP is an opportunity for you to say, okay, even though I don't meet your admission requirements, look at what I'm proposing to to add to your student's body, to enrich the student experience, blah 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 blah. So that's what the SOP essentially seeks to do. So what makes a good SOP? I hope everyone here has their SOPs, at least a draft. So hopefully maybe we can go through that here and there. I'm sure we would exhaust the 40 minutes. Also, please, if I'm speaking too fast, let me know. I've been told that I talk too fast. So if I'm speaking too fast, kindly let me know. After the first 14 minutes, inshallah, we'll be able to like redo this again. Hopefully, if we have like that interest. So what makes a good SOP? Again, the SOP, like I said, statements of purpose, motivation letter, from the words or from the way it is, from the way the schools call it, it is for you to tell the admission committee that this is why you should admit me. This is my unique selling point, my USP for those who are business inclined. This is why I'm a better, or not necessarily I'm a better candidate, but this is why it is in your best interest for you to like take me. Ukasha raised his hand. Ukasha, are you?
Oh, I
If we
just
can,
want to introduce myself. Sorry.
you just what?
No, I just joined. That's fine.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, sorry, okay, sure, that's fine. Yeah. So that's what the SOP seeks to do, right? So whenever you're writing your SOP, whenever you're writing this essay, you need to remember that you are making a pitch to the school. And so in doing that, you are bringing your best storytelling abilities to bear. You are trying to communicate to the school that you already have access to my CV, you already have access to my transcript. But this is what you don't know about me. This is what my transcript is not saying. This is what my CV is not saying. So, for instance, you might have a second class lower. And so, but the second class lower would not tell the school that you were facing all these adversities whilst you were in school. So your SOP is an opportunity for you to tell the school that even though I didn't get the 3.0 or the 3.5, this is why I didn't get it. So you're not necessarily starting off by saying this is why I didn't get it, but you're communicating that in the essay. Or you're also communicating that even though I didn't get the 3.0, I don't have any particular reason why I didn't get a 3.0, but this is what I have been doing, and this is what I'm able to bring to bear in the school or to the school, to the graduate program. You get what I'm saying? So you always need to remember that. For me, the best thing about an SOP, just as it is with every essay, is the opening. Your opening needs to catch me. Your opening needs to be strong. Your opening needs to be one that will get the reader saying, The reader will take a pause and be like, okay, I want to listen to what this person is saying. So don't start off bland. Don't start off with a story or with a sentence that doesn't catch the reader. You get what I'm saying? You need to be very conscious about how you start. So at this point, let me anyone here with their SOP close to them, if they can read their opening, just so we can make it a bit more interactive, so I get you people to understand what I'm trying to say. Can anyone here volunteer to read their opening for us? If you can read it in a minute. Again, if you're able to do that, it will help. I mean, if you read it, it would help help your editing process, because at least over here you would have input from other people as well as myself, and then it can help you to have a stronger opening. No takers? Okay, let me read this opening, right? So this person's opening is one of the proudest accomplishments of my life was earning my college degree, despite the fact that my early adulthood pointed in the opposite direction, beginning with my marriage at the age of 19. Throughout the 90s, I lived as one of the working poor, someone who slipped through the cracks of supposedly historic prosperity. By the age of 25, I was divorced and frustrated with menial, low-paying jobs, clerk, receptionist, and house cleaner. There is nothing like scrubbing someone's toilets to inspire one with determination towards obtaining an education. Because of my absolute commitment toward earning my degree, I got a flexible shift at a retail warehouse, which enabled me to acquire my degree while supporting myself financially. Who can tell me what this person is seeking to do? Hello? Guys, let's make it as interactive as possible.
Me, can I speak?
Yeah, you can speak. Yeah. So tell us your name and can you tell us your name and yeah.
Okay, my name is Mandeeya.
Okay.
I think the person is trying to explain their financial background from the starts and then their struggles.
Their struggles, good. So let's hone in on the struggles bit. What did the person? So by talking about their struggles here, the person did not just say, "I come from a tough background and I suffered." The person narrated it in a manner that was vivid. That's made it almost visceral. Visceral meaning it gives you a feeling of what the person was going through, right? So it wasn't a straightforward, I was suffering. The person explained what that suffering process was for them. You get what I'm saying? So you need to use your words. You need to. So what I liked was when they talked about slipping through the cracks, right? So someone who slipped through the cracks of supposedly historic prosperity. So the person vividly explains to you that they didn't have it easy. At a point in time, they were okay. Then they fell back into the cracks of historic prosperity. So you need to use your words. You need to communicate in a manner that would let the reader, it will transport the reader. That is what a good article is, right? That is what a good essay does. A good essay transports the reader. A good essay gives you a portal into the life of the person that is into the life of the person that you're writing about. I worked on some essays recently. Let's see, let's stop. Where do I go? Essays. Sorry, sorry if people are seeing what I am. So sorry. I just wanted to read like one of the corrections I did, the suggested edits I did for someone, just to get you people to have a feel of what we mean when we say a strong opening. Yeah. Okay, so this was what I did. So I said, so the person's essay was basically, throughout my life, I've always been intrigued by the concept of the economy and its impact on society. As a young girl who had her education in a small community in Accra, Ghana, I have repeatedly pondered over what it takes to translate abundant natural resources into sustained economic good. This was particularly so because the community I grew up in is characterized by appreciable levels of low standards. So the person here gives you a generic introduction into their life, right? Then I suggested this, right? Inner city communities in Accra are characterized by squalid conditions, from open drains to debilitating structures. The lived realities in communities like the one I grew up in pales in comparison to the affluent lifestyle of neighboring gated areas, housing the rich and the elite of Accra. These stark contrasts always marveled me. How was my life significantly more challenging than that of my contemporaries, living a few miles away? For me, these questions sparked and sustained my interest in studying economics.
Hello.
So with this, what you do immediately.
Hello.
Yeah, hello?
Are you trying to share your screen?
Wait,
The one you are reading right now.
Wait, you guys couldn't see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can't see your screen. There's a box on the screen, but we can't see what you are trying to
Oh, there's
show.
a box on it. Sorry.
But the slice is showing.
The slice are still showing. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. So this was someone's essay. I don't think I can share. It's fine. I wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah. But basically, you guys, I hope you did. You saw the contrast between the two essays, right? And so what the first person did, which was to give you a generic view of So can we still see the slide?
Yeah,
No?
we can see the slide.
Oh, okay, sure. Good. Okay. Yes, so what I'm saying is that what the first essay sought to do, what the first person in their essay did was to give us an opening that was a bit generic. They just talked generally about the challenges they experience around them. But the suggested edit sought to paint it more specifically and made it personal. So your opening needs to be personal. Your opening needs to be one that speaks to your condition, your experience. You shouldn't give us a generic opening that just talks about the conditions, the economic conditions, or the economic conditions in your community, or what psychological challenges someone has felt, or like even if you're talking about psychological challenges someone has felt, you should always link it back to you because it's a personal statement. It's not about what motivated someone else or what's happened to someone else. Even if it happened to someone else, it should relate back to you. I hope we are clear. So for me, the strong opening is always a very it's indispensable. Now, the second thing is relevance of the stories and experiences you share. Again, personal statements. That's what it's called, motivation letter. Whatever it is you're sharing should not be too generic and too abstract that the reader keeps on asking, okay, what does this say about you? It should always be something that is relevant to you. It should be an experience. So even if it's an experience that someone very far away from you had, it should be something that should always circle back to you. a reflection point. As a result of you observing that experience, you reflected on that and it became your motivation to do this or that. So your story should always be relevant. It should be relevant to you and it should be relevant to what you're applying for. So it shouldn't just be relevant to you because, again, you might be applying for or applying to a program in public health and you're talking about COVID. Now, don't talk about COVID in a manner that doesn't circle back to you. Even if no one in your family had COVID, you can talk about it in a sense that communicates empathy. And that's despite the fact that no one in your family had COVID, it was something that it triggered your empathy. And as a result, that has become your motivation to study public health in A, B, or C. So the stories need to be relevant. And more importantly, it should have led to a point of reflection on you. The next one is your clarity of your motivation. The clarity of the motivation can happen in two ways. One, you can say specifically, this is why I am applying for A, B, or C. Or two, just by reading your essay, it becomes clear to the reader that like this is why this person is applying for this program. So your motivation should be clear. I shouldn't read your essay and at the end of it, I'm asking, okay, why are you applying for a master's in theater for community development? Or why are you applying for a master's in law in corporate and commercial law? It should be clear. I should understand why you are applying for this. So like I said, for some writers, it is this is why, and for others, it is this as a result of that. Like just when you read it, you will understand that. Now the conclusion. The conclusion is where you make your pitch. So the whole time you're making your pitch, right? But the conclusion is where you tell them that as a result of all these things, I need to apply for this program. Or your school is the best program for me. So your conclusion is also very important. But for me, two things are the most important things, right? The strength of your opening, which should not be very bland. It should be a descriptive essay. It should be something that will communicate. It should be a story. That is where you should exert most of your efforts. And then the consistency in your motivation. Along the thread, I should understand that this is what is inspiring you. Your resilience, maybe it's something that will continue to read through. I'll see that throughout your essay. You know what I'm saying? So your motivation should be clear. Your motivation should be clear, and it should be a running theme throughout your essay. So the strength of your opening and your motivation, very clear. So the sequence. Now, it might not necessarily be the case because there are some essays. I don't know whether anyone here is applying for an MBA, a master's in business administration at a place like Harvard or Stanford. For those essays, you don't tend to see them to be the way your regular graduate school programs in maybe like clinical health or maybe public health or economics or public policy looks like. Those essays tend to, sometimes you read those essays and if you're not someone who is familiar with that style, you'll be wondering what the person is applying to. Because those essays can just be, you read some of them and it's just a story about how someone who was like an immigrant came to America and adjusted despite struggling to speak English. And in no part of that essay do they state that this is why they're applying to grad school. So you need to know the program you're applying to or applying for and what the program demands of you. Now, my guess is that most of you are applying to graduate programs where the personal statement or the SOPs require you to tell them why you're applying for this specific program. Again, you need to know what you're applying for. But if I am right and most of you are applying to programs where it needs to be very clear, this is how I tend to go about my own. So the strong opening. We read an opening. We just read that opening. Now, what have you been doing so far? So we've already clarified the strong opening. So what I tend to do with the opening is that if I know, once you know what you're applying for, say for instance, you're applying to a program in digital innovation. Sorry, there was one I worked on recently. It was Masters in Innovation and Digital something, but basically it was on the innovation in the digital space. The opening for me was amazing. So the person was talking about how they were working in a small shop in Accra, and they noticed that the shop was not using any tech tools. And as a Gen Z or young person who is tech savvy, they quickly deployed TikTok, Facebook, and WhatsApp for the company. Off the bat, when I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, this is someone who understands what they're applying for. You're applying for a program in digital innovation. So if you are telling me from the opening that you as an individual have always had this interest, you were working with a company, a small company in Accra. It could be your mom's shop or whatever it is. You notice this need and you quickly did something about it. That was it. Like that's how it goes. I worked on another one recently where the person talked about their mom having postpartum depression and how that affected their family. And as a result, it became their North Star. North Star means that's your guiding point. That is what like motivates you. That is what you want. That is how you want to shape your life. So that personal experience of their mom losing a child after birth and slipping into postpartum depression and what it did to their family became their motivation. So when I'm reading this, I already know, even when the person doesn't tell you that this is my motivation, the person just gives you that story, you know already that, okay, this is someone who is interested in this program as a result of this. And this is someone who has been doing something like about this for a very long time. Remember, a graduate program is a rigorous program. So you also want to communicate to the school that you have this interest. So this interest can sustain you throughout the 2 years, or if you're doing a PhD, 3 years or 5 years. So remember that whenever you're applying for, for the one I just read about economics. So if you're doing something about economic development or something like that, this person has already started about, basically they were talking about income inequality, but they didn't state it in that slide. For you, you don't just go about it in that generic bland manner. Go about it in a manner that is telling the reader that is painting a picture. So you see, the one I used was my suggested edit was one that sought to paint a picture of, okay, I live in Nima. These are the conditions. Few miles away is Jolu, and these are the conditions. And as a child going to school at maybe prisons or wherever it is, I saw that contrast, and it stuck with me. You see what I'm saying? So that strong opening is very, very important. Now, what have you been doing so far? Is where you tell them about your educational journey and your work journey. But it's important for you to not spend too much time telling them the courses you've taken, the grades you've gotten, and what's on your CV. Because remember, they already have your transcripts. They already have your CV. So don't tell them, oh, and I worked at this, and I worked at that, and I worked at that. Every single thing you tell them should be something that is relevant to what you currently want to do. So for me, my master's was in sovereign debt. Sovereign debt is so you know how when like so debt so you have corporate debt or sovereign debt. So sovereign debt is basically when a country goes to borrow money. So if I'm writing a PhD application, what I'm going to do is to tell them, so I can start with an opening that talks about Ghana. But then I'll always circle it back to me, because if Ghana goes and we cannot pay our debt, and as a result now we are going through debt restructuring, it affects me personally. Because it means if my father is working somewhere, chances are that he's going to lose his job. Even if he has not lost his job, I can lie about it. I mean, of course, I'm not telling you to lie, but you can go about it in a manner that communicates that you've been affected. Or even if you've not been affected directly, you've reflected on what it means for other people. And as a result, that is your motivation. So what I have been doing so far would be for me. So even though maybe, for instance, I was working with Accra House of Folk as a club administrator, I can tell them I've been working with Accra House of Folk, but I shouldn't be talking about the football part of it. You should be talking about the administrator part of it. Because that one will communicate maybe some of the skills I took or I learned whilst I was working at Accra House of Folk. So every single thing you want to talk about should be something that will link back to your skills and how that makes you a better fit for the grad program. If you want to talk about a course, so if I'm going to talk about a course, I'll talk about my dissertation, which was on sovereign debt governance. Or I'll talk about an online course I took which was on sovereign debt management. I can't go and talk about the law and policy of fintech. That has nothing to do with the PhD I'm trying to do. So what you have been doing so far should be relevant. So again, always remember your motivation, as you said. That should be your running theme. So what you have been doing so far should speak to your motivation. The next step you go to is now to tell us why you want to do a master's. So why you want to do a master's links to what is lacking from your undergrad. So if you did economics and you studied cost benefit analysis, you did econometrics, you did economic growth and development, why you need to tell the school why what you studied so far is not enough for you to meet your motivation. So over here, again, going back to the economics example, this person was basically talking about income disparity. And if you're reading it, before even the person tells you this is why they're applying, you can tell that the person has the goal of working in governance or wherever it is, government or wherever it is, where they can bring some level of relief to our economic challenges or mitigate our economic challenges. So what is lacking from your undergrad over here would be for you to tell us that, okay, yeah, you were introduced to these things, but you've not had a rigorous, you've not had the opportunity to engage in a more rigorous study of this thing, or where you want to go. Say for me, say I want to work in development finance institution. I would then tell them, yeah, I'll go a master's, but the master's has not given me the quantitative skills that I need to be able to like work in these kind of places. So you need to let us understand, or you need to let the reader understand what the gap is. The gap between what you currently have and where you are trying to go. Do we understand? And then you need to come and tell them why this school. And the why this school is important, because there are so many schools you could apply to. If I'm sure most of you, your schools tend to be in Canadian schools. There's Manitoba, there's UBC, there's all these schools, right? Why are you applying to us? So over here, you are trying to convince the admissions council that this is not someone who is just applying to as many schools as possible. This is someone who has done their research about the school they're applying to and is actually interested in coming here. So over here, sometimes when you read it, people will just casually mention one professor's name and then that's it. Oh, I'm applying here because I'm fascinated by the work that Professor Cardoza does and blah, and then that's it. What work does she do? You see the thing? Professor whoever might be doing might have research interest in 5 or 6 areas. So you need to tell us, out of those 6 areas, this specific part of those areas aligns with my current interest. And as a result, I want to come here. So over here, you're doing the work of showing us that you actually know about the program. You've gone about to do research about it. So don't just drop that, oh, I want to come to the University of Manitoba because it is a leading program. UBC is also a leading program. Toronto is a leading program. Harvard is even a better school than, of course, I'm not saying these schools are not good, but I'm just saying, like, of course, we all know Harvard is there, Oxford. Like, there are other schools that are better than these schools. Why are you not applying there? Why are you applying to us? So don't just tell them that, like, you're a good school. Tell us why we are a good school. Why we are a good school for you, not just why we are a good school. And not just for you, for the specific program you're doing. And how our existing resources, i.e. our lecturers, our specific lecturers, whatever it is on our campus, can help you. And over here, one of the things you can do is, most of these schools tend to have research centers. So maybe there can be a research center on global governance, or a research center that is looking at something as specific as sanitation and access to water in Ghana. You can talk about that and say, oh yeah, like what I want to do, people are already doing it, and you're even doing it in my country. So over here, you need to like do the work. So for people who are applying to multiple schools, you can work on the upper part of it where you have your strong opening, what you've been doing so far, blah, 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 blah. And then the last part of it, why the school, you leave it open and do a good amount of research for every single school that you're applying to. So for Manitoba, you know this lecturer. For Ohio State, you know this lecturer, or you know this center. For this school, you know this center. And it also helps when you go and do research on the specific programs that they are running. So maybe like there are 5 modules, and there's one specific module that is maybe on econometrics. And so over here, so a good example over here would be, so maybe you did econometrics in economics. I'm sorry, I'm using cons and law. That's what I did. So that's why I'm using like cons. But like, yeah, maybe you did econometrics in Legon. Econometrics was very standard. You just like do a cost benefits analysis on employer's digester. Sorry, can this person, can the person Salama to say, can you please mute yourself?
Oh.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, so you get what I'm saying. So always leave that part open and use that time and do the research to understand the program you're applying to and what is required of them. So I think it's actually a good point to stop, and we have just 1 minute. So I'm sure the room will be we're closing this out very soon. But Mandeeya, if you can generate a new link and reshare it with all of us. Once we rejoin, we'll just be going through. Once we rejoin, please make sure you have your samples, your draft with you, and then we can brainstorm through some of them. We can work through some of them. So yeah, I'll stop here, and then Mariam, if you can share like the link.
Okay, I think we should be able to rejoin.
Oh, can we join the same one? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's a recurring meeting, so we should be able to rejoin.
Okay,
so let's continue. Once it goes off, then we join back.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, so guys, yeah, let me stop here. What we will do now is we'll do two things. I'll open the floor up for people to share. Okay, so I want 5 people to read their openings, 5 people to read their what have you been doing so far, and 5 people to read